Hey everybody, my name is Kate Latimer and I'm the director of the New Earth Institute of Southwestern College. I'm here with Diane Griffin and Ariana Marchion, who are our keynote presenters this year at our Transformation and Healing Conference. Thanks to both of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to have this conversation with me. As we get closer to the conference, which is happening August 16th through the 18th, and the keynote, you'll be presenting on Saturday the 17th, the Creative High Film Experience, exploring substance use disorder and mental health through the art of documentary. I thought it'd be fun to have a conversation with you about your work and what folks can expect if they register for your session at the conference. I know both of you are artists in recovery, and that is what motivated you to collaborate on making the Creative High film, which follows 9 artists recovering from addiction who use the creative process to awaken their true selves and pursue another chance at life. Adriana, can you tell us a little bit more about the film and why it might be of interest to mental health professionals?
Absolutely, Kate. It's great to be with you and to just start the process towards the conference, which I know is going to be a really incredible experience. And the film, the film is such a labor of love. We've worked so hard on making the documentary and, bringing it out into different communities, such as your community here at New Earth Institute. And it highlights the power of the arts in recovery, and also the power of the arts to support us in a healing journey, to support us with mental health. And we see nine different artists telling their stories. Documentary does such a wonderful job of telling the story about how people experience life and how they move through difficult times. And with this film specifically, how they transform their lives using art as their touchstone.
Now, what kind of art are we talking here? Because for me, I'm like, I'm not an artist because I don't know how to paint, but I am a mover and a dancer. And that for me is my artistic expression. So these 9 artists, what kinds of things are they into?
It is such a variety of creative experiences and expressions in the film, from dance, so obviously, which will especially appeal to you, Kate, to performance, to drag, to musicians. We have several musicians in the film, visual art, sculpture, photography. So you're seeing it from all these different angles and on many different ways of expressing, how art can be this wonderful outlet for us.
And a healing art and a healing outlet is also what I'm hearing.
I want to bring something forward too. And when you're watching the film, you will find yourself gravitating towards one person, one artist over another. And that gives you a chance to kind of reflect, why am I, eventually, why am I drawn? Like, for instance, there's one character I've always, felt aligned with, her willingness to be vulnerable in front of a camera, to tell her story so intimately, and to reveal who she is. And that's not easy also,
Especially for folks in recovery, right? Because a lot of us turn to substances to kind of like numb out from that vulnerability. And so what I'm hearing is that there's a way that art gives us resources to whatever the artistic form is, that it resources us to put ourselves out there, to be authentic and be who we really are, even in the face of judgment, criticism. San Francisco is one of the largest art markets in the world. So to be a performer or an artist in that community, you'd be opening yourself up to a lot of commentary.
Exactly. And having us to support them too, knowing that we were going to be there with them, so it's a collaborative effort. We become so close to our characters. We spent years editing the piece, and we feel that you're going to also share in that intimacy with us, that willingness to come forward with your recovery. I mean, when I first came into the film, I wasn't very open to saying I was in recovery. And Adriana was so ready to do that. And it really influenced me too. So we're all being influenced, and including the audience who's going to watch this with us.
And it really is an experience. That's part of what we have worked really hard on, bringing the film out to audiences where they get to watch the film and be impacted by the film, whether someone's coming that's in recovery or struggling with their own mental health, or they're an artist themselves or a mental health professional, that they get to really be affected by the film, explore what happened in watching the film, and you know, think about their own life and also their own creative process and how that might be an avenue, a gateway for the continued recovery, the continued healing journey.
Love
Buddhism has
that.
also been a big part of my recovery. And so I like this quote from John Dido Laurie that kind of encompasses what this is about for us. The creative process is like a spiritual journey. It's intuitive, non-linear, and experiential. And it points us to our essential nature. You know, it points us to find out more about who we really are.
Yeah, well, that to me, that's where good art comes from, is from the authentic and unique spirit of each person. And what it sounds like your film is really doing too is breaking down stigma. Whenever anybody, you know, sort of, I used to work in the, you know, sexual trauma field, and we'd always talk about breaking the silence, right? And breaking down the stigma
Right.
by sharing our stories, by being an example. And that's what I'm hearing that you guys are really doing from your own hearts, and then, you know, inviting others to really start having this dialogue and start exploring how art can support us as a resource, as maybe even, I might go as far as to say, a replacement for addiction or substance use that numbs us down and disconnects us from ourselves in certain ways, so that we can actually be more engaged in the creative act. I'm reading Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, right now, and very similar to what you just shared, Diane, and with that quote, that this all good art comes from our authentic nature, from our essential self,
And
and
art making
that's
also,
the
yeah. I'm
connection. Yeah.
sorry. I was just going to say, art making itself, you know, we get to quiet down, you
Mm.
know, we get to quiet down and there's some reflection. Even when we can't quiet down, there's a little part of us that can rest there, you know, rest in the making of, rest in what am I going to choose, what color, all those various things that go into creativity and how we're choosing to live our life as people in recovery.
Mm. I love it. So what is this session going to be about? I mean, we've been talking, we've been planning, but for the folks who don't know what we've been up to and what we've been, you know, plotting and planning, what can people expect if they come to the keynote session on Saturday, August 17th? It's from 9 to 12. So it's 3 hours. What's going to happen in those 3 hours?
Well, one of the things is we're going to watch the documentary together. It's a 75-minute documentary. And so it's a great opportunity just to come and be a part of that process of just being in an audience, right? Being with other people watching a film. And then we're going to share a lot of things around the concepts connected to that idea you just shared, Kate, of what is that alternative high that the creative process gives us this opportunity to lift ourselves up, to feel more self-esteem, to feel a different way of connecting with life. And so we're going to talk about some of those aspects of what creativity offers, but also it's going to be very interactive. So people can have some creative experiences themselves, dialogue with others. Yeah, Diane, anything else to add?
Well, you know, you're going to see a lot of different ways too that we've captured these people, you know, and the cell phone. We use cell phone footage in our documentary, and we established a whole character through that. And just like the everyday ways we look and see, you know, we look and see and express how we express. Yeah.
I love that distinction between looking and seeing. That's something we play with in the hermeneutics course, is we can look at something and we can express what we really see, but then what do we, you know, if we're looking at it, what we see is very subjective, right? It's what we imagine when we look at something, and the imaginal taps us into that creative energy. So we all maybe watch a dance performance or look at a sculpture or view some art on the wall in a museum, and everyone's going to have their own unique experience of that. And That's
Mhm.
probably true of the recovery experience too. Like everyone goes through their
Right.
own process with it, and how that gets expressed, and how that gets experienced is unique to
Right.
each individual.
Beautifully said. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited for the audience to come and see it and have these discussions together because, we're learning more about how, ourselves, even and through the audience, their response.
So
Yeah.
we'll all be there watching it on the big screen and having this shared experience, and then we'll have time, we'll have art supplies out, we'll have time to
Right.
reflect and time to share and have dialogue about what happened, and about
Fantastic.
how we were impacted, like you said, Adriana. Well, I'm so excited. It's going to be here before we know it. So if you haven't registered yet, you guys, you can go to www.tandh.org, tnh.org. There's the full brochure is listed there. You can read more about Adriana and Diane, their work, who they are in the world. And there's some other links you can follow for registration and everything like that. So hope to see you in just a couple of weeks. Thanks for listening.